I have my Amstrad CPC set up still, and that gives me an opportunity to do another Amstrad game video, and this time I'm going to play Wild West Seymour. So there we are, Wild West Seymour. I've cut straight to the loading screen. This game takes about 12 minutes to load, which is quite long for a single load game, but it does load a little bit extra to fill up the extra RAM if you happen to have it. But that is a really nice picture on the loading screen. Because there's two different types of Amstrads. There's the Amstrads that have 64k of RAM, and then there's the Amstrads that have 128k of RAM. And if you have 128k of RAM, some games load in extra content or extra stuff. And this game has a little bit of extra presentation if you have extra RAM. So let's start. There's all these people scattered around. I don't know who they're supposed to be. I think maybe they're people that work for Codemasters, so it's a bit of an inside, not an inside joke, but I don't think most of the people that worked for Codemasters were famous, so all of these people are not really well known, and I don't think they're characters just for the Seymour games. Oh, Seymour hasn't learned his lines. There really is a lot of talking in this. This game's split up into 4 acts, and each of the acts really doesn't have many rooms. So you can see here, this is as far as you can go. But you can go inside the buildings. It looks like they've taken a little bit from Spellbound Dizzy, where the areas can have different colours. I think they probably reused the same code from game to game, because this was the people that made Magic Land Dizzy, Spellbound Dizzy and Dizzy Prince of the Yoke Folk. and then they invented Seymour and just sort of made a bunch of Seymour games. Damn, that's a grim animation. But this game is really well animated, actually. The main character, Seymour, has got some really nice fluid animations. It's even got a couple of idle animations. So actually, this first part of the game is really easy. All you really need to do is just collect all of the things that you need to take with you. So microphones, cameras, spotlights, things like that, and put them on the big red bus. And then you're ready to go and shoot your movie. All of the Seymour games are based on him being a movie star. Although he doesn't really have the look of a movie star. He's a bit of an ugly character. Although actually his main sprite does look cute enough. What's interesting though is that the Seymour games didn't really get ported to 16-bit machines. All of the Dizzy games ended up being released on the Atari ST and the Amiga. But for some reason, a lot of the Seymour games just didn't get converted to 16-bit machines. So the first Seymour game was on the Amiga, but this game isn't on the Amiga at all. It's exclusive to 8-bit machines. Oh yes, you put the film and then the battery in the camera. And I did it with the light turned off as well, which is the correct thing to do. So that's another puzzle done. An ignition key. Exactly what I need to start the bus up. Okay, nice. Finally. What is that supposed to mean? Is it supposed to be a Wilhelm scream? Ah, it is the Game Genie. Do you have any codes for me, Game Genie? Like infinite lives? I kind of vaguely remember there being a making of this game in Amstrad Action magazine. Which ran for a couple of issues towards the end of when we last started buying them. And I think this game was reviewed towards the end as well, if I can find the issue. I do actually have all the issues as PDF files on my computer, so if I can find the correct issue, then I'll show you a picture here or there of the making of. When this game came out in 1992, Amstrad had stopped making Amstrad computers. They'd moved on to making PCs, I think, by then. But the actual user base of Amstrad users, Amstrad owners, still bought games when they were released, so it was entirely dependent on whether people wanted to make games for the Amstrad still, whether people were buying enough copies of games to make it profitable, and whether shops actually wanted to stock Amstrad games. And I think at a certain point, shops just refused to stock Amstrad games. I do remember seeing like a preview section in Amstrad Action magazine, and half of the games previewed never got released, and they were all games that were kind of being planned for 1993. So it seems like games developers, or at least some games developers, were just going to carry on making games for a lot longer than the machines actually lasted for. Hey, Act 2. And we're in... What's that? Is that New York? Is Seymour in New York now? I thought Codemasters headquarters was in England. And yet they just took a bloody double-decker bus all the way to America. Squelchy hero. Okay, so this is Act 2, and we're in a town. The idea of this section is to get on the train so we can continue onwards to film this movie. I do remember this section being quite repetitive, where you have to do quite a lot of stuff over and over again, and if you get it wrong you have to start again. And again, it's only a few screens big, but there's a fair amount of puzzling to do. So yeah, I think they did a really good job of this game. That's probably one of the only ways you can die in this, by getting kicked by that guy. So you've got to get yourself a passport photo and not a passport photo, but a thingy. But you've got to get the money to be able to put it in the booth, and then you have to try to get the photo in time. And yeah, but it's nice that there's different music as well. Each of the 4 acts has got its own music, which is actually the first time I've seen that in any of these games, because it wasn't like that in any of the Dizzy games. There was always just one tune. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit, because what I actually did is I found a cheat that you can use. I forget what it is, but you have to hold down certain keys, yeah, like fish head or something like that, and then you get a cheat mode. There you go, big red cheat mode. And you can actually turn on turbo mode, which shows you how the game runs at full speed. So they've actually artificially slowed down the speed of the character. And you can choose any of the rooms that you want to go to. And what I did actually do in the end, I managed to find the title screen. The title screen in these games is just one of the rooms in the map, which sort of makes sense, doesn't it? But as always with these games, if you go to the wrong room, you can end up crashing the game. So there you have it. And that is a look at Wild West Seymour for the Amstrad CPC. I should really give this game really good marks, because it's a really well made game, and it's pretty much flawless in its execution, and it doesn't do anything flashy. It doesn't push the boat out in any way, and it is a little bit too easy and maybe a bit too short, and the ending's a bit lame really, because you don't even get to see El Bandito. But I still think this is a really good game, and it's a little bit of a shame that that was the last Seymour game, because they just never made any more Seymour games after this. So there you go. And that's the end of the video. Thank you once again for watching. Goodbye.